The cameras flashed, the ink dried on like a $500 million contract,
Duh.
and the crowd completely froze.
Oh, yeah.
And just like that, Hollywood and the sports world had a brand new obsession, what Tyrese Haliburton is actually hiding about his marriage. Because what is happening behind closed doors right now with this couple is honestly a story of extreme highs, devastating lows, and a secret courthouse vow that literally nobody saw coming.
Right. It's wild.
Welcome to StarScope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we take your sources and dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And the mission for this deep dive is to look at a massive stack of sources we've compiled for you today. We are pulling from Sports Network financial reports, celebrity lifestyle articles, and, direct insider commentary.
The good stuff, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Our goal is to unpack the absolute whirlwind that was July 2026 for Indiana Pacers star Tyrese Haliburton and his new wife, Jade Jones. We really need to separate the flashy headlines from the deeply personal and frankly heartbreaking reality of what this couple has just navigated over the last few months.
I am looking at these timelines right now, and I swear the contrast is giving me severe whiplash.
Oh, I bet.
We really have to start with the professional side of this, right? Because it completely sets the stage for everything that follows. We are talking about arguably the most staggering financial headline in modern sports history.
Yeah, let's lay out the mechanics of what actually happened here. On July 21, 2025, Tyrese Haliburton, who was, just 25 years old at the time, secured a 14-year, $500 million contract extension with the Indiana Pacers.
$500 million.
At 25.
Right. And because of how NBA extensions work, that deal officially kicks in for the 2026 season. So it mathematically commits him to the franchise until the year 2040.
Okay, hold on. I need to push back on this right out of the gate. 14 years in the modern NBA. I know, it sounds crazy.
I mean, players today change teams faster than they change their sneakers. We are in the era of player empowerment, where guys sign like 2 or 3 year deals so they can constantly threaten to leave if they don't get their way.
That's usually the playbook, yeah.
To stand up and say, I am locking myself into Indiana until the year 2040 seems almost reckless from a business perspective. Not to mention it completely annihilates the previous record, which was Jaylen Brown's $304 million deal. How on earth does a franchise justify committing $500 million to a single human being?
Well, if you just look at the raw number, it sounds terrifying. But we have to look under the hood at how the NBA actually functions financially right now.
Okay, explain that to me.
So the Pacers are banking heavily on the mechanics of the 2026 media rights deal. The NBA just negotiated these massive new television and streaming contracts with entities like Amazon, NBC, and Disney.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we are talking tens of billions of dollars flooding into the league's revenue pool over the next decade.
So basically, because the league makes more money, the players make more money.
Precisely. The NBA operates with a salary cap, which is basically an artificial limit on what teams can spend to pay their players, right? It's designed to keep the league competitive. And that cap is directly tied to league revenue.
Got it.
When the Amazon and Disney money hits the league's bank account in 2026, the salary cap is going to experience an unprecedented spike. The Pacers front office, led by Kevin Pritchard, is looking at the math and realizing that locking in a massive number today is actually going to be a bargain tomorrow.
Oh, it's like locking in a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage right before, for an absolute fact that the housing market is going to explode.
It is a perfect analogy, yeah.
The $500 million sounds astronomical to us right now, but when that new TV money floods in and the cap skyrockets, the Pacers have already secured their foundational asset at a locked rate, rather than, having to bid for him when prices are even higher.
Exactly, and they are willing to take that 14-year risk because of who Tyrese is on the court. In the 2024 to 2025 season, he averaged 21.8 points per game.
Which is huge.
It is. But more importantly, he led the entire league with 11.1 assists per game, and he shot an incredibly efficient 40.5% from three-point range. He was named to the All-NBA third team, which essentially means a panel of experts voted him as one of the top 15 basketball players walking the planet. He is the engine of their entire offense.
And the reaction from his peers really proves your point there. The respect was so immediate.
Oh, absolutely.
Like LeBron James posted on X, quote, $500, secure the bag, young king. And then Kevin Durant went on Instagram to specifically call out the duration, saying 14 years is wild, respect the loyalty, though.
Yeah, when KD calls your contract wild, you know it's a big deal.
Right. You just have to imagine being 25 years old. You have just reached the ultimate professional summit. You have secured $500 million and generational stability for your family. You are literally on top of the world.
Which is exactly what makes the events of the following summer almost impossible to comprehend without the proper context.
Right. Because if you've got $500 million in a bank and the NBA is on summer break, why are you showing up at a mundane county building in plain clothes?
It's quite the pivot.
You would think the wedding celebration for a newly minted half-billionaire would be this, like multi-day, multi-million-dollar extravaganza, renting out a private island in the Maldives, flying hundreds of people to a chateau in France.
That's what you usually see with these guys.
Exactly. Instead, on July 21st, 2026, literally this summer, this historic contract kicks in. Tyrese and his longtime partner, Jade Jones, walked into the Indianapolis marriage license office.
The visual contrast is just stark. Jade posted a carousel of photos on her Instagram with a very subdued caption. She just wrote, "It's Courthouse official," along with a champagne and a ring emoji.
Oh, okay.
Incredibly. If you look at the photos, she is wearing a simple short white dress and white heels, holding a basic bouquet of white flowers. And Tyrese is wearing a plain black t-shirt and black pants.
A black t-shirt.
Yeah. They are standing in what looks like a standard municipal room, surrounded by just a handful of family members and friends serving as legal witnesses.
It just doesn't compute for me. It is the ultimate paradox. I mean, it's like winning the largest lottery in history and choosing to celebrate by going through a fast food drive-thru. Why keep the biggest, most joyous moment of your life so incredibly quiet and close to the chest?
Well,
I mean, I love a good low-key moment, but when you have limitless resources, a black t-shirt at the courthouse feels intentional. It feels like they were actively avoiding a celebration.
you're completely right. Because there's a deeply emotional, tragic reason this wedding was kept so quiet.
Yeah.
It wasn't just some quirky, stylistic choice to be understated. And we'll uncover that heartbreaking twist right after this.
Yeah, to understand the reality of that quiet courthouse room, we have to rewind the timeline by just a few weeks. The cinematic high of that massive contract is heavily shadowed by a very sudden, very real personal tragedy.
It really is.
Let's look at the lead up to this wedding. In June 2026, so a month before the courthouse vows, Jade and her closest friends traveled to St. Barts for her bachelorette trip. And, you know, in the traditional wedding timeline, this is supposed to be the absolute pinnacle of joyous pre-wedding celebration.
Right. But according to the factual reporting we pulled from Us Weekly, and we confirmed this through multiple entertainment sources, that trip took an unthinkable turn.
Just devastating.
On June 8th, 2026, 26-year-old Makenzi Kern, who is Jade's absolute best friend and a former cheerleading teammate of hers from their college days at Iowa State, died suddenly of health complications while they were on this vacation in St. Barts.
Oh my God. It is incredibly sobering to even read those facts. One minute you are in paradise toasting to your future with the women who have been the core pillars of your life, and the next minute your world is completely shattered.
Yeah, it's unimaginable.
Jade wrote a tribute on her Instagram, and reading it just breaks your heart. She wrote, "Kenzie was the funniest, goofiest person I've ever met. She was always making me belly laugh. She had such a gift of bringing happiness to every room she was in."
The depth of their bond was profound. Jade went on to detail how Makenzi had supported both her and Tyrese through every single chapter of their lives.
Right from the beginning.
Exactly. She was there when they were just broke college kids in Iowa, and she was there as they navigated the overwhelming transition into NBA superstardom. In her post, Jade wrote a sentence that really anchors this whole deep dive for us.
What did she say?
She said, "I can't even imagine our wedding day without her there celebrating with us." Tyrese also posted his own tribute on his Instagram story, writing, "We will always love and miss you, Kens. Forever thankful for you."
See, when you lay out the timeline like that, the image of the courthouse wedding completely shifts. It wasn't about being trendy. It wasn't about being anti-establishment.
Not at all.
How do you possibly throw a massive, loud, champagne-popping gala when you are actively, suffocatingly grieving your best friend? How do two people navigate the absolute highest professional peak in sports history and the lowest, darkest personal valley at the exact same time?
It forces a complete recalibration of what a wedding is actually supposed to achieve. If we look at the psychological mechanics of how human beings process sudden traumatic grief, it strips away all of the superficial noise.
That makes total sense.
The pageantry of a multi-million-dollar celebrity wedding, the ice sculptures, the three-tiered cakes, the hundreds of guests you barely know, that probably felt incredibly hollow to them in the wake of losing Makenzi.
Yeah, totally empty.
The courthouse was a grounding mechanism. It was about the vows. It was about the legality and the pure commitment to each other, completely stripped of the performative elements of fame. They needed to solidify their bond in a way that felt safe and intimate.
I think we often look at these larger-than-life figures, these athletes making hundreds of millions of dollars, and we project this idea that their wealth makes them untouchable.
We definitely do.
We assume money acts as a shield against the heavy, hard parts of being human. But a tragedy like this grounds them in such a profound way. Grief does not care about your salary cap space.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't care about the 2026 media rights deal. It comes for everyone, and it demands to be felt.
And navigating extreme dualities, immense life-altering wealth on one side and sudden life-altering loss on the other, that requires a tremendously strong foundation between the two people involved.
Absolutely.
If Tyrese and Jade didn't have a deeply rooted partnership, a summer with this much emotional whiplash could completely fracture a relationship.
Which is why, if you're captivated by the real human stories behind these Hollywood and sports headlines, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because the history of this couple proves they can survive absolutely anything.
Yeah, to really understand how they are weathering this intense summer, we have to look at the bedrock of their relationship. They didn't just meet at a VIP table in Los Angeles last year.
Right. They go way back.
Their story forces us to look away from the glamour of the NBA and transports us back to 2019 in Ames, Iowa, on the campus of Iowa State University.
I love this part of the timeline because it is just so genuine. Tyrese is a rising star on the men's basketball team, and Jade is on the cheerleading squad.
A very classic dynamic.
It is the classic collegiate sports romance setup. But they officially started dating in April 2019. This is long before the Olympic gold medals, long before the private jets, and certainly long before the $500 million.
And what's crucial here is how they built their life together step by step. They didn't get to skip the hard, uncertain parts of early adulthood.
Yeah, nobody got to skip 2020.
Exactly. When the global lockdowns happened in 2020, the sports world shut down. The NCAA tournament was canceled. The NBA draft process was thrown into total chaos.
It's so unprecedented.
Tyrese and Jade ended up moving into a place together in California. They were just two young people stuck indoors trying to figure out their future in a world that had seemingly stopped spinning. And to cope with the anxiety of that isolation, they adopted a mini golden doodle.
And they named him Ames, after the city in Iowa where they met. I think that tiny detail says so much about where their compass points.
It really does.
Tyrese actually gave an interview about that time in lockdown. And he said he was initially unsure about getting a dog, but quickly realized the psychological value of it. He said, "My dog does not know how good or bad I play. He's just happy to see me."
That's incredibly telling.
Right. That speaks volumes about what an elite athlete actually craves. He wanted unconditional support that had absolutely nothing to do with his stat line or his draft stock.
And Jade has provided that exact same unconditional support. Throughout his NBA journey, from being drafted by Sacramento to dealing with the shock of a blockbuster trade to Indiana in 2022, and then building a franchise from the ground up, she has been a constant.
She really has.
She has publicly referred to herself as his biggest cheerleader. But, that title is easy to claim when things are going well. It was truly put to the ultimate test during the 2025 NBA Finals.
Okay, this is where I want to get into the physical toll of this sport, because we literally just watched this happen. Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
The pressure cooker.
The absolute biggest stage in basketball. The Pacers are facing the OKC Thunder. The pressure is astronomical, and in a split second, Tyrese suffers a torn Achilles.
Brutal.
It knocks him completely out of the game, costs them the championship, and sidelines him for the entire subsequent 2025 to 2026 season. Now, from a sports fan's perspective, we just see a guy go down and grab his heel. But what is the actual reality of that injury for the athlete?
Well, the medical and psychological reality of an Achilles tear is arguably the most grueling experience in basketball. The Achilles tendon connects your calf muscle to your heel bone.
Yes, it's basically what lets you move.
Right. It is the literal biological spring that allows a player to jump, to pivot, to explode past a defender, When it tears, players often say it feels like someone kicked them or shot them in the back of the leg.
Oh, that makes me cringe just hearing it.
But the physical pain is nothing compared to the rehab.
Mm.
You are looking at 9 to 12 months of grueling, isolated physical therapy.
A whole year of your prime just gone.
Exactly. You go from playing in front of 20,000 screaming fans to sitting alone in a sterile room trying to pick up marbles with your toes just to regain basic motor function. The psychological isolation breaks a lot of players.
And that is exactly where Jade stepped in. While he was facing that terrifying uncertainty, wondering if he would ever have his explosive speed back, wondering if his career would ever be the same, her public response was just unwavering.
What did she say?
She posted, "You have been nothing short of amazing. You are so selfless, brave, and strong. I will always be your biggest cheerleader." She anchored him during his absolute lowest professional moment.
Which brings up a very important cultural contrast, I think.
I have to ask you about this, actually, because we see the exact opposite scenario play out in pop culture constantly.
We really do.
A young athlete gets drafted, signs a massive multi-million-dollar contract, moves to a major market, and almost immediately ditches their college sweetheart to date an Instagram model, an influencer, or a reality TV star.
It's basically a cliche at this point.
The temptation and the access are practically unlimited. What makes Tyrese and Jade the exception to that rule? Why did they actually make it through the gauntlet of newfound fame?
If we analyze their actions, the answer points to a shared active resilience. They don't just passively remember their past, they actively anchor themselves to it. Look at the proposal.
Oh, the proposal's so good.
When Tyrese decided to propose to Jade on July 28, 2025, which, keep in mind, was just weeks after that devastating Achilles tear, he didn't charter a yacht in Monaco. He didn't rent out a rooftop in Dubai or a private beach in Malibu.
He took her back to Hilton Coliseum at Iowa State, the exact physical location where they first met. He had candles, red roses, and a giant illuminated "Will you marry me" sign set up right there on the hardwood of the basketball court.
It's so intentional.
He posted the photos with the caption, "The place where our story started and where our next chapter begins."
That specific choice of location reveals their entire value system. It tells you that their internal compass always points back to Iowa, back to when they were just two college kids trying to figure life out.
Yeah, they never really left that mindset.
Exactly. Whether they are dealing with the physical trauma of an Achilles tear on the global stage, the psychological trauma of losing a best friend in St. Barts, or the overwhelming reality-altering weight of a $500 million bank account, they survive because they refuse to let the NDA lifestyle overwrite their foundational identity.
They just hold on to the reality of who they are. The paperwork is signed, the black t-shirts has been worn, but the story isn't over. Wait until you hear what the couple is planning next as they step into their new era.
Yeah, our sources confirm that the courthouse was just step one of their journey. It was the legal, intimate processing of their commitment during a time of intense grief. But Jade and Tyrese are giving themselves permission to look forward.
That's so important for them right now.
It is. They are currently planning to host a formal wedding ceremony on August 1st, 2026.
And we actually got a little confirmation of that from the inner circle. Jordan Woods, who is engaged to NBA star Karl Anthony Towns, left a comment on Jade's Courthouse post saying, "Yay, one step closer."
Ah, there you go.
It shows that the people closest to them understand that this is a multi-step process of healing and celebration.
This multi-step approach to their marriage perfectly encapsulates their entire journey. They honored their immediate grief and their need for privacy and grounding with the courthouse ceremony.
Exactly.
And now they are giving themselves the grace to celebrate their future, their survival, and their community with the formal event in August. It's an incredibly mature, measured way to handle the intense emotional spectrum they've been forced to navigate this summer.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? I want to leave you with a thought to mull over long after this deep dive ends.
Yeah, what's the takeaway here?
When a relationship is forged in the fires of extreme, whiplash-inducing contrasts, and we are talking about massive, unimaginable generational wealth colliding head-on with profound, sudden, life-altering grief, how does that completely reshape a couple's perspective on what truly matters in life?
It changes everything.
It really does. As Tyrese and Jade finally walk down the aisle for their formal ceremony on August 1st, surrounded by the people they love, they aren't just celebrating a marriage anymore. They are celebrating survival. They're celebrating the fact that through the blinding noise of the money, the pressures of fame, and the suffocating weight of heartbreak, they still have each other.
It brings us right back to the image we started with. The flashing lights and the cold mathematical precision of a historic sports contract, contrasted with the murky, unpredictable, and often painful waters of real life.
So well said.
They found a way to navigate both by remembering exactly where they came from.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.